A key group of the world's 38 most wealthy nations sharply downgraded its current year growth forecast for the United States.
So these 38 wealthy nations that was making money off unfair trade policies, the 38 wealthy nations that are able to afford free healthcare off the backs of that we, one, pay for ours, and two, that we pay the highest prescription. Oh, you mean these 38 countries? Yes, the one that was pretty much benefiting off unfair trade policies, currency manipulation, import bans. Those guys are grading us low. Yeah, I save it. I'm not. I don't really care. I'm be honest with you. Like, maybe just me personally, but the fact that I'm hearing it from the guys that were honestly benefiting from us pretty much having no tariffs, yeah, I'm not trying to hear it.
Going from a forecast for 2025 of 2.2% growth projected to now just 1.6% growth in March. The group adding further dismal projections for.
Well, at least they say we're not going to have no growth, but they say only 1.6. Okay.
The future. And they expect the global economy to slow markedly both this year and next. A big part of what decides that, the currently stalled trade talks between the United States and China. Those negotiations are a huge focus as well for one industry in particular, footwear, calling tariffs an existential crisis and trying to hold on to hope from recent comments made by President Trump like this.
We're not looking to make sneakers and T-shirts. We want to make military equipment. We want to make big things. We want to do the AI thing with the computers and the many elements. But the textile, I'm not looking to make T-shirts, to be honest. I'm not looking to make socks. We can do that very well at other locations.
Joining me right now is Matt Priest. He's the president and CEO of the Footwear Distributors and Retailers of America, a leading footwear trade group that represents dozens of companies like Nike.
So you mean the footwear groups that pretty much got their money off leaving American jobs or leaving the American people behind, but selling into the American economy? You mean the same Nike, Adidas, Puma, all of those guys that take advantage of the sweatshops in China? Those guys have a problem with Trump's tariffs. The guys that are pretty much utilizing the inhumane conditions in China, the low wages in China, to make their products to sell to the American people so they can get their profit margin. Those guys, we're supposed to give a damn about what they say? Okay. Like I said, when did the Dems start holding water for the corporate elites? When did you guys start hopping on these people's side? The same side that pretty much take jobs away from you so they can go out there and take advantage of low wages and damn near slave wages. When have you guys start holding water for them? Honestly, you guys used to be making the same arguments that I made. This is why I say I left the Liberal Party, because you guys aren't the same no more. You guys used to be against this stuff, but now you're for it. You're arguing in defense of it. Really now?
And Crocs, thanks for being here. I've checked, we've kind of been checking in with you throughout, from before all the tariffs were imposed to all throughout this very long and not yet there journey. You sent a letter to the administration about those remarks, applauding hearing that the president isn't interested in maybe pushing you to try to manufacture, companies to manufacture in the United States right now, and asking for.
Hold on, what are y'all crying about? Like, we're not pushing y'all, but let's be real though, we are going to make it hard on you guys. Here's the thing, we're not pushing you guys, but here's funny. Now, let's say there is a footwear company that comes out and just start making shoes in America, right? And you're just like, whoa, wait, really? Yeah. But all the prices of these other shoes go up, but this footwear company that starts out in America, start making shoes, can take over the market that way because they're not dealing with a tariff. And if these guys, we're talking about Nike and Adidas, want to keep their factories in China, then they will suffer these tariffs if things don't work out. And that's just going to be on them. I mean, there's shoe companies that operate outside of China. They can go somewhere else, but the cheapest labor is in China. So, hey, man, it's not about they make shoes better than us. It's about them or better than the world. It's just that they make shoes cheaper than the rest of the world. And that's what these guys are taking advantage of. So you want us to feel bad for these guys that take advantage of cheap labor? Sorry, it's a bit hard for me to, pull that sympathy from out my heart, man. Maybe I'm getting a little bit too cold from it. Who knows? Maybe I'm just a dickhead. Who knows, guys?
For an exemption for the footwear industry from the reciprocal tariffs. Have you heard anything back?
We've not heard anything back, Kate, but this started a process back in January where we asked the president to exempt us. We've been concerned about these tariffs. We pay billions of dollars in tariffs anyway, right? We have for 100 years. So for us, we wanted to encourage the president as he made that statement that yes, the policy should actually line up with the rhetoric. Stop tariffing and taxing Americans on shoes and socks and T-shirts, as the president said, and focus more on those strategic industries.
Look, I mean, the fact of the matter is.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be real with you. I have no qualms with this man coming after people like y'all who've literally took advantage of the slave labor, the sweatshops that you guys got in China. Like, I have no problem with that affecting you guys. And here's the thing, even though Trump's not focusing on it, this could be a major opportunity for Americans to honestly get in on that industry and take some of that capital away from you guys, especially, and let's be real, if that industry starts up, that would put an incentive for tariffs to be put on China for shoes and socks, because we're protecting what? American industries. So let's be real, if we do create the business and the need is there, then it will happen. There's a reason why we got it on steel, because we want to save steel. The reason why we got it on cars, we want to save the auto industry. So if we do make it an industry that's worth saving, then things will happen. Like I said, ain't nothing better than it being made here and jobs being given to American people. Ain't nothing better than that.
Is tariff rates have not changed, right? They're still on. They're still hitting the industry and going to hit the industry. What happens if you do not get the exemption? What happens in the industry?
Costs will go up. This is an inevitable fact. In fact, we're here this week at a big market week in New York. We have this every 4 times a year. All the conversations, Kate, are around what are we going to do for costing for products sold in 2026? And no one knows. None of our brands or retailers know how they're going to be able to price goods in this environment when you're not sure what the tariff or the tax at the border is going to be.
Is the uncertainty worse, or is the tariff rate worse?
The uncertainty is typically worse. Now, when you're at 145, 154% tariff, which we saw just a few weeks ago, that's an embargo. So that's obviously terrible.
Yeah.
But if you're just not knowing where the tariff rate is going to land between 30%, 15%, 10%, then that uncertainty makes it very difficult to understand how to cost.
Yep, and that's pretty much, and I hear their argument. It's pretty much saying, yeah, well, how do we know what tariffs we can eat, what tariffs might get passed down, what tariffs we can ask a supplier to cut? They don't really know how they should carry out negotiation, because like I said, they don't even know, like, all right, well, supplier, how much can you cut off this 10%? Oh, wait, my bad, now it's 15%. Oh, wait, my bad, now it's 30. Actually, no, my bad, hey, now it's back down to 10. I can't see where it's hard to make business deals like that. And I would say, hey, man, just wait it out. These guys will bend soon. And this is why Trump is kind of lighting a fire under them, because he understands what these businesses are going through when it comes to planning out further down the line. But this needs to happen because we can't give these guys no leeway just because, you know, our business guys are panicking and they're crying about, like, don't worry, they'll be okay. But you know who won't be okay? The middle class, if we let this stuff continue.
Cost those goods.
Have prices gone up?
No, prices have not gone up right now. In fact, we're in this era where they're pretty muted. And
yeah, I know. Wanna know why? He said, no, prices have not gone up right now. Man, and I think, I mean, hey, at least he told the truth. And I'm gonna tell you why prices haven't really went up right now. One, inflation. Inflation has decreased. We've been experiencing deflation. When you're experiencing deflation, prices either stay stagnant or they decrease. So far, prices have either stayed at what they were under Biden or they've decreased. So that's one reason why prices have not went up. And another reason, companies have chosen to eat in the tariffs or make the supplier eat it, or both of them eat it. Importer and supplier both eat the tariffs without passing on the price because of, well, competition. And they would hate to lose out on billions of dollars of sales because to take it, you know, just because they didn't want to eat like a couple $1 billion in tariffs. It'd be a pretty stupid idea business-wise. So that's one of the main reasons why prices have not rose yet.
Oh, prices have not gone up right now. In fact, we're in this era where they're pretty muted. And that's our big concern, is because even with prices not up at this moment, because the tariffs haven't had a full impact on the cost of goods, our consumers have pulled back. And so we see declining sales. So our concern is that as prices go up, that's going to tamp down on consumer demand. And so what's going to happen when those prices do go up?
Oh, and see, small businesses buy wholesale. So the wholesale come from who? The big guys. And if the big guys don't pass down their costs, that means the small businesses do not see their costs either. So if they're not raising the prices in Walmart, they're most likely not going to raise it in Sam's Club at the wholesale. And that goes pretty much for across the board. So if prices don't raise in stores, then prices are not raising wholesale. So when this man just said, no, pricing hasn't risen, and I given you the explanation of pretty much the reason that tariffs can be absorbed by the supplier or the importer without passing it on to the consumer, and the example, and also inflation, which we're going through deflation right now, which either keep prices stagnant or they fall. And you can see examples of this in India and China, which has crazy tariff barriers, which causes deflation.
Particularly at back to school and holiday.
So that's becomes a big question, right? Yeah. I mean, let's ask this in kind of like in two buckets. Sure. What this means for American business, American footwear companies, right, and what this means for the American consumer. If nothing changes, and that's the only thing you can work with when it comes to reciprocal tariffs, what is that going to mean for anyone who's out there shopping? In the letter you mentioned that I would read that the average American spending on average $30 to $50 on.
I also do want to explain something to you because you guys, I want to see if you guys can get this because I'm about to cook your whole argument on the nature of tariffs, right? The nature of tariffs has always been bad for the seller, right? So when we bring up things like, oh, what about the tariff 60 years ago, 1930s? We were a seller back then. We were a main producer in most of our products back in the 1930s. And when we enacted those tariffs, well, the main reason for the depression, if you're honest, was money tight situation. The Fed refusing to pump more money into the economy, which crushed us. Now, if you want to talk about those tariffs that were enacted, the reason they hurt us is because tariffs throughout history has always been known to affect the seller because tariffs have been used to keep foreign sellers out. But when you are the seller yourself, it hurts your economy. So when you guys say that, oh, that's not consistent with the nature of tariffs, actually, yes, it is. Because back in the day, tariffs hurt the seller, which was us. Now it's hurting the seller, which is China.
When they're buying shoes, what is that going to mean for people when they're doing back to school shopping?
It's going to be higher costs, of course. And the bigger concern, Kate, is this is on everything. So even if we think that we are recession proof as an industry, we know that because costs and tariffs have gone up on every single consumer good sold in this country, the discretionary income, right, the stretch of the dollar for the American consumer is going to start to shrink back. And so that's going to.
What's the estimate that you're hearing from companies, from Nike to Crocs to, I mean, you represent all the big names in the industry. If things don't change, what is it going to go up by? I mean, I just had the CEO of Elf Beauty Cosmetics on last week, and they are planning on raising their products, each product by $1 starting August 1. What are you hearing? How much are companies saying they fear they're going to have to raise prices by?
Yeah, so every company's different. They're all in a different part of our market, but in a general sense, we're looking 15 to 20% to cover. And so you think multiply that across Elf products, footwear, toys, et cetera, that's going to have a compounding effect on the consumer.
You mentioned that you'd also said that this is an existential crisis for American footwear companies. How many companies are you hearing from that this could put them out of business?
A lot. And what the viewers need to understand, Kate, is that even if you're buying product at a big box retailer that you see as publicly traded and you think they're worth billions of dollars, a lot of the suppliers and vendors that sell into those markets, that sell brands that people know and love, are small family-owned businesses.
Why can't the companies eat the tariff like Donald Trump says you should be able to?
Because the margins are 2, 3, 4% at best. And so we have one company, New York-based, third generation, $1 million worth of.
Now, let me go ahead and explain those margins. Why I say, oh, the 2, 3% is best is because you guys have dedicated to selling at low prices to dominate the market and crush competition. So since you guys went ahead and did that through cheap labor and you kept lowering your prices to crush competition, you've lowered your profit margin. So you guys can damn near try to run a monopoly. And I mean, that's what these guys have done. And now they're caught with their pants down because we're taking away that cheap labor that's allowed these guys to dramatically drop their prices to crush competition.
Goods every single month. Their duty bill used to be $60,000. It's now $360,000 a month.
That's mind-blowing.
It is mind-blowing. It puts into perspective what the impact could be.
Matt, it's good to have you here. Thank you very much.
My pleasure.
And to my Dems, I know y'all don't give it. Like, really, y'all do not care about these corporate elites and their profits. That'd be $14 billion. Like when they said, well, Walmart profit margin only 4%. Damn, 4% is $14 billion. You sure you got like, well, all right, what's the CEO's salary? Well, damn, what are they getting? What, $2 billion each a year?
Pleasure.
Really appreciate it. Please let us know what you hear back. I'm sure.
Remember, profit is after you pay all expenses, payroll, equipment, and all that good stuff, and they still got $14 billion left, guys. And you guys want to come cry and complain saying that, oh, they can't eat the tariffs, but you guys wanted them to eat billions of dollars in taxes. But they can't eat tariffs, though? Really? Can we stay consistent, guys?
We will also hear it from Donald Trump's social media if you hear back from the administration on this. Thank you. President Trump's new ramped-up tariffs on steel imports are set to take effect tomorrow. And the president is vowing to double the tariff in an effort to revitalize U.S. manufacturing. The decision sent steel stocks sharply higher to start the week. But there's more. CNN's Matt Egan tracking this one for us. What did the steel industry saying about this?
Okay, the steel industry is loving it, right? Because the president is essentially tripling down on using his favorite weapon, tariffs, to revive the Rust Belt. So we did see steel stocks skyrocket yesterday. We saw a 10% gain for Nucor, 10% gain for Steel Dynamics.
Yeah, and I mean, that makes sense because these are American steel. So I mean, now everybody's moving away from that Chinese steel and buying American steel. And now, then, since everybody's seeing this, now we got more investors who are putting their money into U.S. steel. Is that such a bad thing, guys? I thought this is what we wanted. But, hey, man, apparently the Dems don't want that, and they want us to be sold out to China. So, man, honestly, like, Dems, man, are y'all pro-American or you're pro-commie? Like, please, make a decision here. Like, y'all over here cheerleading for China, a communist party that uses slave wages, child labor, all stuff that you don't agree with. But, hey, though, long you can get a cheap iPhone is cool, right?
Man. On all this, we got Steve Moore, host of More Money on WABC Radio and other things, and EJ Antoni, Unleash Prosperity's senior fellow. Gentlemen, welcome. So let's start with you, Steve Moore. The deep recession hasn't come. The hyperinflation hasn't come. The stock market is rallying.
And 100K jobs a month has been added to the market for about, 4 months straight. Job report in for May coming soon. So those of you guys say people are losing their jobs left and right, Set. Well, why don't y'all go look at the job reports? You know, unless you guys want to deny facts, which you guys love to do, but go look at the job report and see how there's been over 100K jobs a month added for the past 4 months, and most likely about to be 5. So why don't y'all go look at that before you want to fearmonger on jobs being lost left and right? Oh, you also don't want to talk about the increase in personal income as well. Y'all don't want to talk about the increase in tariff revenue that's damn near doubled. So it's kind of hard to debate with people who don't want to talk about the truth just because it goes against their narrative of, oh, tariffs are bad. Oh, nothing's good going to come of this. But there's been plenty of good that came of it. And I mean, one of y'all main lies of it's inflationary, I mean, that's been completely thrown out the window.
The media won't admit it. They're doubling down on pessimism. But I'd say the Trump economy right now looks pretty good. What say you?
Yeah, it's humming along, no doubt about it. And I very rarely admit that I'm wrong, but I was wrong on this, too. I didn't think we would see a number this strong so quickly. I mean, I agreed with everything in your riff. I think you left out one thing, Larry, which is what the markets and the economy love trade peace. And so Trump getting these series of trade deals, not yet in hand, but being planned, I think really calmed the markets a lot. I think they've given a lot of confidence to manufacturers, construction companies, and others. So you saw a big boost in that. And these numbers are really remarkable. 4.6% growth. Now, that's over 2 months, so it's a fairly short period. But I don't think, I may be wrong about this, EJ may know, I don't think that Joe Biden had 4.6% growth in his whole 4 years in office in a single quarter. So these are giant numbers, and there is a new optimism out there. And you just
oh damn, ATL Fed a 4.6% growth in Q2 despite tariff worries. I mean, yeah, and income growth as well. And I mean, it is funny. Consumer price index is down. Everything that the Dems have been fear-mongering on has not happened. You know what? I'll give the Dems the benefit of the doubt. You know what? Let's give y'all another 3 months. After that, y'all got to low-key shut up.
See it in the business spending and investment that I think are two of the most important statistics of all.
Yeah, see, EJ, I think it's interesting. First of all, I welcome Mr. Trump's strong defense of the bill, because the bill, look, I know the bill has flaws, but those flaws will be dealt with. And I'm especially interested in the tax cut side. And I love
the only flaws is pretty much the $6 trillion cuts that the GOP wants. Then yeah, that could be done over time.
Of what John Thune had to say about making the business investment tax cuts permanent. And that's going to mean the depreciation, right? That's going to include the factory depreciation. I hope that includes a 15% corporate tax rate as well. But what I'd like to say to you, EJ, since the beginning of the year, basically, there has been a big...
Ooh, a 15% corporate tax rate. I ain't going to lie. With the tariffs, that's going to have these companies jumping the border back over here.
Business boom. Even in the first quarter, which was flat, there was a business boom. I think business investment was up about 20%. On the industrial production side, business investment, business equipment is up about 20%. There's a boom going on, EJ. I think that boom has a lot to do with...
Yeah, the man said 100% financing on equipment and all that good stuff. It's like, of course there's a boom. He's like, bro, this is probably the perfect time to get into like factory, build a factory, get into logistics. I mean, shoot, buy land to sell to a factory. This is the perfect time to get all that going. Get into construction, damn near start a construction company. Yeah, this is a perfect time to put on your entrepreneurial hat and get out there.
Guess what? Tax cuts, incentives to invest. You know what I mean? Come here to America. We're going to give you the lowest tax rates. You won't have to pay any tariffs. What do you think, EJ?
Well, Larry, I think that's exactly right, especially with all the talk of these tax cuts being retroactive to the start of the year. Look, the market is anticipating that Congress and the president are going to get this across the finish line. And it's remarkably similar to what we saw in 2017. And both of you were, I think, instrumental in getting that across the finish line when we had the first Trump tax cut. And what happened that year? Every time it looked like there was progress towards the end of the year, markets rallied. And then by December, when it looked like it wasn't going to happen anymore, markets swooned. And of course, then once it was actually signed right before the Christmas recess, what happened? Markets took off again. So clearly they're anticipating that we're going to get a good tax package here and that we are going to get exactly what you're both talking about, Larry, with the business expense.
All right,
that's a really, really big part of this.
Huge. Just absolutely. By the way, give credit to Gary Cohn, who was my predecessor at NEC. Give credit to Mnuchin at the Treasury Department. Give credit to Paul Ryan and Pat Toomey in the Congress, the House and the Senate. It was a massive undertaking. I always like to, they were part of my panels at the Reagan Library this past week, and they did a great job, and it was a pleasure to see all of them. EJ, I'm just going to stick with you. You have EJ writes that Elon built a Doge rocket and it's going to keep flying even with him out of the administration. Now, I happen to agree with you. That is the keep flying part. OK, those Doge cuts will be rescinded.
Yeah. Here's the funny thing. I believe a White House correspondent came out and said that, yeah, we haven't even put through all of Doge's findings to be cut by Congress. And then some of them have been rejected by Congress. They're still trying to push through. So a lot of these Doge cuts aren't happening because the people who are supposed to be looking at the damn budget wasn't looking at it.